MeowMix, the Carolina Panthers podcast. My name is Steven.
My name is Jerry.
And we are here to discuss the latest Carolina Panthers loss, this one coming to the Baltimore Ravens in a game that was honestly much more competitive than I anticipated.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's just
you know,
offense, like most this year, can't do anything.
yeah, defense certainly played well enough to win this game, but they do lose 13-3. 10 points from the Ravens coming in the fourth quarter, coming in a span of about a minute and a half in the fourth quarter. Um, and that was all they needed, honestly. They played good enough defense on the Panthers to win. The Panthers played good enough defense on the Ravens to win, but
Yeah.
Baker and company couldn't get anything done. Baker did not inspire any sort of confidence in me moving forward.
I think PJ Walker is a better quarterback at this point. I as weird as that sounds out of my mouth, I think next week if PJ's not healthy, I think you roll with Sam Darnold. He does nothing. He loves Ian Thomas way too much, and Ben McAdoo's play calling is atrocious. He's never going to get another head coaching or offensive coordinator job in the NFL again, in my opinion. But
I mean, let's just say this, okay? I mean, I don't know if PJ Walker is a better quarterback, but the offense is better with PJ Walker at quarterback because they rely on the passing game way too much with Baker. 33 passes to 17 runs in a game that was 3-3 in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
And yes, they were stopping the run. But you have a chance. Deontay Foreman could break off a 10, 15-yard run pretty easily. He's not lightning, but he broke off a 10-yard run. I mean, why can't he continue to do it? You just got to choose your spots.
Yeah, no rushes for Blackshear in this game after he actually he had much more rushing attempts than Chuba in the last game. No rushing attempts for him in all this game. Chuba, 4 rushes for no yards in this game. He did absolutely nothing in the rushing game, at least. Had a couple of catches. But, the offensive game plan was very strange in this one. Again, with Shenault, it's only screen passes to him. That's it. They do nothing else with him. He had 7 yards on 4 catches, so obviously that wasn't going to work in this game. Baltimore had the perfect game plan. They seemed to know exactly what we were wanting to do, and they stopped it. And then Baker couldn't make anything happen.
I wonder. This was an issue when Baker was in before about passing the ball, and we love to run those RPOs. I wonder if they're still running those RPOs, but Baker just thinks he's too good, and he thinks he can throw. Which, honestly, Baker looked abysmal when he had time. The offensive line at first did pretty good, then they kind of started struggling down the stretch. But he had time, and he was frantically going through. He missed an open DJ Moore through his zone because he was frantic. And then instead of dumping it off to Blackshear early in the game right away where he had no one around him for 15 yards, he kept dancing and looking around, and finally dumped it off after the defender jumped down to get him.
Yeah.
Baker, he's not the guy.
He's not the guy. He's definitely not the guy moving forward. I've heard some Panthers fans talking about, hey, we don't need to draft a quarterback. We've got Baker. We can just sign him for another 1-year deal and see what happens. Nah, this is Baker now.
Yeah.
I don't know that Baker's going to be in the NFL next year, honestly.
I don't either. I mean,
he's not good. He's not good.
When PJ Walker makes the offense look so much better than you. Yeah. I mean, let's be real. I am over here wanting PJ Walker back because barely 200 yards is what we get otherwise. Abandoning the run game that has been great happens.
I mean, the Ravens we were stopping the run fairly well ourselves until sort of the end there. The Ravens still had 30 rushes. Yeah. They still committed to the run, even though we were stopping it. And again, this game was 3-3 in the fourth quarter. They were still running the ball. Why weren't we? Why couldn't we run? Why couldn't we try? And I know, Deontay Foreman has been very good in his starting role. This is a bad game. I'm not out on Deontay Foreman. This is just a bad game.
Oh yeah,
we've seen Christian McCaffrey with this type of game in the running game before.
The Ravens have one of the top ranked run defenses in the league. I
Yeah.
said that on this podcast in the pregame. I said,
Yeah.
even if they stop the run, you got to continue it to let Baker have time with the play action.
Yep.
They didn't. They didn't do that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, just a bad performance offensively overall. Defensively, a very good performance, I thought. Again, you give up the touchdown in the fourth quarter, but that was on the Shi Smith fumble. And let's go ahead and get into our key plays here. There's really only a couple.
Yeah.
The first one's going to be that Shi Smith fumble. And I'm not going to blame Shi Smith for that. I'm going to blame Shi Smith for some stuff later, but this one, he was just trying to get a couple extra yards. The ball got ripped out. It happens.
It's a great defensive play. It's
Yeah.
the defender trying his best to get it all. Yes,
Yep.
Smith should have tried to hold on to it better, but I mean, it's football, and you got to compliment a great defensive play when it happens. And the Ravens played great defense too. Let's not.
Oh, they played excellent defense. I mean, they played better defense than we did, and we played very good defense. But yeah, the Shi Smith. I mean, it looked like he was really struggling to even catch that ball. I mean, it was sort of bobbling around in his hands. I thought maybe it was even worth a challenge at that point just to see if he had full possession before he fumbled it, especially that big of a play that late in the game. What are you holding on to that challenge for? At least try. And again, I watched it once. I haven't gone back and looked at
it
the
automatically gets challenges because it was a turnover.
It wasn't.
No.
Oh, that's right.
It's a turnover,
right.
so it automatically.
Yeah.
And by the way, the refs that down at the one BS. I mean, that was.
Yeah, that was BS too. That was BS. Yeah, I mean, and by the way, were we watching the Ravens home broadcast of this game?
Yeah, we were.
My God, Mark Sanchez just loves the Ravens. It was pretty. I mean, it was pretty bad, but anyway. Yeah, I mean, Shi, he was struggling to catch that ball. I guess he got possession of it, but it came out. And then the subsequent drive with Baker interception, again throwing to Shi. Or actually, I think he was throwing. I don't remember where he was throwing it, but either way, that sort of ended the game for the Panthers. There was really no shot after that. So those are going to be our two keys. I don't know, man. As frustrating as it was to watch this game offensively, defensively, I was very encouraged. The Ravens are a good team. They have not scored under 20 points all season long. We hold them to 3 for the majority of the game. They get, again, a field goal and a touchdown at the end, but I was pretty encouraged from the defense.
Oh, absolutely. I think the defense, all around, great job. I mean, you held them 13 points. They were able to move the ball a little bit. They had barely over.
Robinson. Like he's the only one that could do anything.
Barely over 300 yards total offense. And again, they had 63 plays compared to our, quick math, 50. I mean, great job, guys, on defense. You can't really ask for holding what I think is a prolific offense too much less. I mean,
yeah, I mean, you had Demarcus Robinson and Mark Andrews combined for 190 yards or something close to that. And Lamar only had 209 total yards. So those two guys, I mean, we couldn't stop those two guys. Mark Andrews is very good. First game back from missing with an injury. Demarcus Robinson, I don't really know who was on him. I'm assuming it was probably Henderson, maybe Keith Taylor some.
I think it was we played a lot of zones. At least we did early. And at the very beginning, he was just had enough time and he would just drop it. Luckily, they had a couple drops on that first drive. Otherwise, whew.
Well, I mean, Demarcus Robinson, this came out of nowhere. Like he had 6 catches. He's only had one game of more than 3 catches, and that was a 6-catch, 64-yard game a couple of weeks, or actually a month ago. And then this one, 9 catches, 128 yards. Like, I don't know where that came from. They obviously found a matchup that they liked with whoever was on him. I mean, C.J. Henderson had 10 tackles. I'm going to guess C.J. Henderson was probably on Demarcus Robinson quite a bit.
Let's go ahead and just assume, yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, outside of that, I mean, like I said, the running game, the Panthers really stopped their running game most of the day. Drake had a decent run towards the end of the game. I think a 29-yarder. outside of that, I think they held him to right around 3 yards a carry.
And they contain Lamar Jackson. Let's be
Yeah.
real. Like
Yeah.
he had 11 rushes, 31 yards, 1 for 10.
Yeah.
I mean, great job. Defensive line, even Gross Matos got into it. I
Yeah.
mean, holding him there. I mean, there was a lot of times where he was just stuck and he didn't know where to throw and then kind of threw it away. So it kept us in this game. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I hate saying, oh, looking at the sunny side of a loss, but I mean, when you're competing against, I think, a Super Bowl contender, and
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
are
I
not.
mean, right. I mean, this is a game again that I think most Panthers fans, if they were being honest, did not think the Panthers were going to win.
No.
I thought we were going to lose by 15, something like that. So not too bad. Um, yeah, any other kind of thoughts here before we sort of start looking at some of the stats?
I don't have anything else. It was just I'm just so tired of this play calling by Ben McAdoo. I know I feel like a broken record
Yeah.
because last year it was Joe Brady and now I'm saying Ben McAdoo, but it's almost like I feel like they need to merge a little bit. Like Ben McAdoo doesn't throw the ball down the field, and Joe Brady only wanted to throw the ball down the field.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I wish that we stuck to the run game again. This team cannot throw the ball 3 times more than they run. It's just this team is not built for that. It
Yeah.
doesn't play that well.
Well, we've seen it this whole season. It
Yeah.
doesn't work, and it especially doesn't work when Baker is at quarterback. And they don't play to Baker's strengths.
No.
They haven't played to Baker's strengths all season long. To his credit, he's been a trooper. He hasn't called him out on anything. He's taken the backup role. He's been a good teammate, I think, but he's not been a good player on the field. And that's really all I care about. Like, you can be, you know,
Yeah.
demonstrative and be seen from the outside as kind of a crappy teammate. But if you're winning on the field, nobody cares. Yeah, Baker took 4 sacks in this game, a couple interceptions. Do you think we see Sam Darnold next week?
I do too. I see him starting unless PJ's healthy, and then I could see them going back to PJ.
Yeah, I mean, let's see, we got Broncos next week at home.
Then
Then,
Seattle,
then,
and
then the bye, then Seattle.
I
So with
mean,
the bye right after the next week, I wonder if they start Sam
and let PJ get healthy.
and let PJ come back against Seattle. So I don't know, but it'll be interesting to see. All right, let's take a look at some of the stats here. We'll look at the Panthers first, as we usually do. Baker, 21 of 33, 196 yards, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Again, he was sacked 4 times. Rushing game, really nothing here. As a team, 17 carries for 36 yards. Deontay had 11 of those for 24 yards. Baker, 2 for 12, and Chuba, 4 for 0. Um, Receiving the ball, I mean, Terrace Marshall Jr. continued his sort of
Yeah.
ascension as the number 2 wide receiver here. 3 catches, 76 yards on 6 targets. He did lead the team in targets. I thought he could have had another one as well.
Yeah, he
But he
did
sort of,
have a drop, in my
yeah,
opinion.
yeah. So he could have been right at 100 yards. You almost got
I know, even
your
though it was
Bullfinch.
garbage time, I was kind of pulling for it.
Hey, yeah, it would have been nice. Shi Smith, 4 for 26 on 5 targets, did have the costly fumble. Chuba, 2 for 25. DJ, 3 for 24 on 5 targets. He did have a drop as well. Ian Thomas, 3 for 24 on 4 targets. Blackshear, 2 for 14. And then Chenault, we talked about earlier, 4 for 7. Shi Smith ended up having 2 fumbles, did lose one of them. Looking at the defense, CJ Henderson, Chin, and Luvu. Welcome back, Jeremy Chin, by the way. 10 tackles each. I always say it. You never want to see one of your starting corners with
No.
double-digit tackles.
Your secondary shouldn't have that many tackles. Even
Yeah.
Jeremy Chin. The only reason why I think Jeremy Chin does have so many is he does get down and get those
they
2-3
move
yard
Chin
stops
around a lot, so that doesn't bother me too much. I thought CJ Henderson had a really nice tackle earlier in the game, big tackle for loss, but outside of that, I don't think he had a very good game. We'll see what the PFF grades say, but Luvu did have a sack as well, in addition to his 10 tackles. And let's see, we had Shaq with 6 tackles, Brian Burns did have a sack, had another hit on Lamar Jackson that counted as a tackle for loss. Is basically just Lamar not handing the ball off on an
And
option
Brian
play.
Burns read his decision, and
Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
I mean that could have been
Gross
considered a sack, but it's considered a tackle for loss.
because of that. So I was hoping they'd give him a sack.
Me
Gross
too.
Matos with a sack. So 3 sacks for the Panthers in this game. Again, they did have an interception as well.
Bravion Roy, big
Bravion
boy,
Roy, yeah,
got his hands up and it stuck to him. I was like, oh, okay.
yeah, Roy in there for Ioannidis, who was out for this game, but good job there. Didn't see a ton of Marquise Haynes. Was really hoping that they were going to play him a lot more after he had that big fourth quarter last week, but
Yeah.
only really saw him out there a couple of times.
And I didn't see Barno either. I saw him make that one spectacular play, and then I kind of didn't see him again. I was like, why would you not
Yeah.
play him a little bit more, especially if they had him as a gunner, and the commenters were like, oh, you have a defensive end. I was like, when you run a 4-3 defensive end,
Yeah,
you
but
can do that.
I think the only reason he was out there as gunner, and I may be completely wrong, was because Blackshear got hurt. And I think Blackshear is normally right there, but he had gotten hurt the play before, or he's shaken up maybe. So I may be completely wrong about that because Barno didn't get out on the field in time. That's why they had to call the timeout, or they took the delay of game. So that's kind of what I was thinking happened there. But Pinheiro 1 for 1. He scored on the only points of the game, and then Hecker, good day. 6 punts, 4 of them inside the 20. I was really thinking at one point in the second half when they were going out to punt, it was 4th and 3. They were right around the 50. I was like, all right, this is actually the play where they didn't have the gunner and they took the delay of game. I was thinking this is a perfect spot to let Hecker throw the ball.
That's what I told Sylvia. I was like,
yeah,
that I wouldn't be shocked if this was a fake punt, but if we're both calling it, then
yeah, true. But I mean, there are places on the field, there are situations where it makes sense to do that.
And a 3-3 tie, defensive game, and your offense can't muster anything. Yeah, I think I agree.
Yeah. I mean, the only time Hecker's thrown the ball, I think it was called back on a penalty this season. So I would like to see him do that again. He's very good at it. So kind of a bummer there, but all right, looking at the Ravens, Lamar, 24 of 33, 209, and an interception. Only was 11 rushes for 31 yards. So he did have a touchdown, the one touchdown there in the fourth quarter. So Kenyon Drake, 10 for 46, but again, 29 of those on one run rush. Justice Hill, 7 for 30. And then a couple other runs for the Ravens. Demarcus Robinson, 9 catches, 128 yards. We talked about him earlier. Andrews, 6 for 63, and then nothing else really. I mean, Justice Hill had 3 catches for 8 yards. Everybody else is, 2 or 1 catch for, less than 10 yards. So they had nothing on the passing game outside of those 2 guys. Marlon Humphrey did have the fumble recovery, which would have been a touchdown had they not blown the whistle dead.
Yeah.
Didn't count as a touchdown for him. He did have an interception later in the game as well. Patrick Queen led the defense for the Ravens with 12 tackles. He did have a half sack as well. Roquan Smith, I think this might be the most he's played since coming over from Chicago for them.
Yeah, and he looked good.
Tackles. Yeah, and a sack. They ended up with 4 sacks. Jason Pierre-Paul had a sack, and then Justin Houston had the other half sack, and Calais Campbell, also had a sack. So Jason Pierre-Paul, kind of a renaissance for him. He had 2 tackles for losses. I thought he had 2 sacks, but I guess they counted one of those as maybe a run or something. And then he got the interception as well. So 2 tackles for losses, that's, half as many fingers as he had. He has tackles for losses.
Yeah, let's not go there. Nah.
Let's see. 2 for 2 from Justin Tucker. Dude's automatic. And then Stout, 7 punts. I mean, this was really the punter's game.
Yeah. I mean, both defenses deserve to win.
Yeah.
I feel like ours almost deserved it better because they are facing Lamar Jackson and a good offense, and
and every time it looked like the Ravens were starting to get some momentum offensively, someone would make a big play for the Panthers, whether it was the interception or a big tackle for loss.
Burns' sack knocked them out of field goal range after a penalty, after a face mask penalty. So
it was like 3rd and 4 on that that drive, and then it ended up being like 4th and 29 or something, and they
Yeah.
ended up having to punt. So yeah, that was again, just making big plays. Third down wise, we talk about this every week. The Panthers needing to do something good on third down. They were 3 for 12 offensively in
Yeah.
this game. I mean, that's right around their average, unfortunately. Ravens were 6 for 15. That's right around their average. A little less than their average, but pretty close. 66 total plays for the Ravens to 54 for the Panthers. And then I always like to look at the time of possession, 33 minutes for the Ravens, 27 for the Panthers. So not terrible. But again, this was a very close game until the end. So
yeah, it just, man, I wish we had a better quarterback and coordinator. I think it's a mixture of both reasons, and I do think PJ Walker gives us a better chance. I can't believe I'm saying this now.
I mean, that's just the way it is, though, because Baker is not good. I mean, I guess there was the reason that the Browns went way above and beyond to get Watson.
Deshaun Watson, yeah.
I mean,
look what Jacoby Brissett was doing at the beginning of the year. He was looking really good. I mean,
yeah, they've come back to earth a bit, but Watson's coming back for them soon. Yeah, I mean, but in this game, the Panthers 3 turnovers to 1 turnover for Baltimore. That's kind of the game. Like,
yeah,
that's
that fumble,
the offense
and then
lost the game.
That fumble turned a touchdown.
Yeah,
and then after that, it was like, okay, we're 2 possessions down with 5 minutes. Baker has to throw the ball, and he throws 2 interceptions on back-to-back series. Yeah. Game over. I mean,
2 fourth quarter interceptions for Baker.
When Baker has to throw, he throws interceptions.
Yeah, not too good. All right. Well, predictions, Jerry. You predicted the Ravens would win. I also predicted the Ravens would win.
Yeah.
So kind of a push there.
Oh, what was our beer bet? I completely forgot.
Passing yards. You took the over. I took the under.
Oh yeah.
It was under. Although that fourth quarter rolls out another way. You never know. We both in our preseason, by the way, did predict this to be a loss. So I think in our preseason we're looking pretty good overall. But we'll have to do maybe on the bye week we'll kind of look back at our preseason predictions and see how we're looking. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't really know what else to say about this game. It was a very kind of defensive game until the fourth quarter. That there just wasn't a lot that happened.
No, I mean it just kind of stumbled out.
I mean, I hate to do a 25-minute podcast, but there's not a ton to talk about here.
Yeah. Do we have any heroes? I think we have some heroes at least to talk about, and then we'll talk about our heroes.
There's heroes and zeros. Yeah. Go ahead and give me your hero.
My hero, I'm going to go Brian Burns. I felt like he really did a great job of containing Lamar Jackson. I think the whole defensive line in general could get a hero award because they contain him greatly. I mean, you didn't over pursue him, which is a big issue with most people on Lamar Jackson. So, great job.
Yeah. I mean, I'd like to give it to Bravion Roy, but I just don't know. I need to see what else he did.
Yeah.
He only had 1 tackle. I don't know how he looked. So I'll need to kind of look back at him. I'm not going to give him the hero, although I'll give him an honorable mention for that interception. I'm going to give it to Johnny Hekker. I mean, 4 punts inside the 20. I thought he was a massive part of why, the Ravens kept having bad field position.
Yeah.
He was consistent all day long. We don't get to give the kickers a lot of heroes of the game, so I'm going to go ahead and give that one to
Oh, okay. Maybe I'll put him on the thumbnail next week.
That would be pretty funny, actually. All right, let's go with zeros. I'm going to go ahead and steal Baker from you. Baker Mayfield's going to be my zero of the game. Just couldn't get anything going. 2 big fourth quarter interceptions. Well, really 1 big fourth quarter interception. The other one, I mean, the game was kind of out of hand at that point anyway. But just not being able to move the ball down the field. They gave him 33 attempts to throw the ball. He couldn't do anything. So I'm giving it to Baker.
Baker's a really good one, and that was probably going to be mine. But since you already took him, I'm going to go with McAdoo. Just the game plan. If you're doing these RPOs, and that's why Baker's throwing it so much. You know this issue occurred at the beginning of the season. You know that running the ball, letting Deontay Foreman eat, getting 20 plus carries, even if he doesn't have the most spectacular game, that's the way you win with this team. You didn't do it. You pull him to the side and said, this is an RPO, but this is run. This is run. You need to run this damn ball.
Yeah, agreed. That's a good one, and that's I figured that's where you were probably going. You love to give the coaches zeros, and it 100% warranted this whole season. Like I can't argue with it. I mean,
well, I think the players here. I keep saying I think the roster is decent. It's not a Super Bowl roster, but I think the roster is solid enough that we should be able to get more than 200 yards of offense. Well, okay, we had what?
We had right just over 200 yards of offense.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we've got DJ Moore, who's a 1,000-yard receiver every single year except this one. Terrace Marshall is really coming on. Like, he looks good. Deontay Foreman has proven he can be a 100-yard back every single game if you give him the opportunity. Maybe not in this game because the Ravens are so good. But yeah, I mean, the pieces are there. The defense is good.
The defense gave this team an opportunity to win. Yeah. I mean, you can't ask for much. You held a prolific offense to 13 points.
Yeah.
Your offense has to do something. I know the Baltimore Ravens are good on defense, but you're an NFL offense. Do something.
Do something. Carolina Panthers, do something.
On offense.
Or stay pounding, as the sideline reporter said during this game. Oh, God. Come on. Like, everybody in the league knows keep pounding. Give me a break. Oh, all right. I don't know, Jerry. Any kind of final thoughts before we take a look at the other NFC South games?
Nope, that's it. I'm done. I mean, we both thought this game was going to be a loss. I mean, the Baltimore's really good. Carolina's not good right now, so.
They are not. The rest of the NFC South also not good, but both other games today were NFC South wins. The Falcons played a really entertaining game against Chicago, and they won 27-24. And then the Saints, if I can find it, I know they won.
They won 27-20 against the LA Rams. I mean, come on, Rams. What?
Suck. What is going on with the Rams?
I don't know.
Yeah. So the Panthers now, let's see. Let's look at the standings. I know we're at least.
They're probably like 3 or 4 now. I mean, honestly, now we might need to start looking at.
Yeah, I mean, now we're a full game behind New Orleans in third. We're a game and a half, I guess. 2 full games behind Atlanta, and now 2.5 behind Tampa Bay. So, and we have the worst point differential in the NFC South. Yeah, this just isn't a good team. Now, we do have a fairly favorable schedule coming up, but
yeah,
like you said, man, I mean, at this point, we're 3-8. Best case scenario, we win out, we're 9-8. That ain't gonna happen. Worst case scenario, we ended up like 6-11.
Yeah, that's the word. And looking at our schedule, that's what it looks like. It's like, oh man, because we got Seattle, which will probably be a loss. But I mean, Broncos aren't good.
Broncos could be Broncos could go either way. Seattle probably lost.
Saints, Steelers, Tampa Bay, Steelers. Yeah, I mean,
the only the Lions, but the Lions have been frisky. So this could. I mean, would it surprise me if we are 3-14? No, wouldn't surprise me. Would it surprise me if we're 7-10? Probably not. Wouldn't surprise me. I mean, it's certainly in the realm of possibility.
Yeah. And unfortunately, I have a feeling that's what we're going to end up 5-12 or 6-11, something like that.
We're be just good enough to miss out on those top picks.
Yeah. I mean, again, I'm not that in love with either of the top 2 quarterbacks. I could also there's some good quarterbacks down the line. Hendon Hooker, man, even though he struggled against Georgia, so does everybody else. I mean, I think Will Levis had like 30 yards yesterday, halfway through the game. So,
Yeah, but I think Hooker got hurt yesterday, right?
Oh, I didn't see that, but
Yeah, against South Carolina.
South Carolina.
They got destroyed by South Carolina.
And
Yeah, he
Anthony
got hurt, so
Richards
I don't know.
has a
That's what I'm
lot of
saying.
potential.
Yeah, this does
So
feel like one of those drafts where like the Mahomes goes 10th and the
yeah,
Josh Allen goes 10th. Like it feels like you're going to be able to get a guy that's going to be really good who's going to go just outside the top
yeah.
10 or right around the top 10.
And if
And then
we
there's
have to,
also really other good players too that you could probably gonna have three quarterbacks go in the top 10 or top 5 potentially. There could be a Will Anderson. There could be some guys that are really going to improve your team that are going to drop.
yeah,
So
and maybe that's what you do if you could get a Will Anderson. You can't get one of the Bryce Young or
Stroud, yeah.
Stroud. You're sitting there at 3. You can get Will Anderson. Get Will Anderson. Trade those 2 second round picks and a third or something. Jump up later in the first and grab one of those.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it'd be nice to have a lot more ammunition, but they traded a bunch of picks to get Sam Darnold and Baker here. So
Yeah,
yeah, I think I honestly do think I would say if you play Baker anymore this season, you're making a huge mistake. Just
agreed.
just from the fact that you don't play him anymore, it's a 5th round pick that you're losing instead of a 4th. And that's a big deal in a draft where the Panthers don't have a ton of picks. That's a
I
big
think
deal.
the offense, like you said, plays better without him.
Yeah.
Plays
Yeah.
just plays better. I can't. That is what it is.
Yeah, that's it. I want to see Sam Darnold next week, and that's not a phrase I ever thought I would say again in my life.
I
I
almost want
want
to
to see Sam
vomit
Darnold.
saying that, but yes, I agree.
I really
As
wish that Corral wouldn't have gotten hurt in the preseason because I feel like
oh
this would be
god,
the time to start seeing him.
oh
You know,
yeah, I would have done before PJ Walker, my opinion, but yeah,
well, PJ Walker wouldn't have been on the team, so
I mean, or at least we could have kept him in, then put him on,
yeah,
that boomerang IR, but
yeah,
we didn't
yeah,
expect this season to go this way, so.
right. Oh man, all right. Well, I guess that's probably gonna do it, Jerry.
Yep, we want to thank everyone for listening. If you like the show, please let your friends know. Please follow us on Twitter at MeowMix Podcast. If you have any questions or comments, you can email us at mailbag@meowmixpodcast.com. If you leave us a 5-star review with a comment on Apple Podcasts, we'll read it on our show. Please like and subscribe on YouTube.
We'll be back middle of the week to preview the Panthers Broncos game.
Yeah, we're gonna have to discuss when we're gonna do that with Thanksgiving being
Yeah,
Thursday.
Thanksgiving. We'll be back at some point next week or this week to talk about
Super early or super late?
yeah. It's either gonna be it'll probably be normal time, but hopefully you guys will listen and you're not gonna blow us off for your families or whatever. But we'll see. So until then, everybody take it easy, stay safe out there, and keep pounding.